In August 2021, Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old American travel vlogger, would never return from what was supposed to be a dream road trip across the United States. She was brutally murdered by her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, while the two were traveling together in a white van, capturing sweet moments to share on social media. The trip was planned to last 4 months, starting on July 2nd. But on August 27th, all communication with Gabby suddenly stopped, and that was the last time anyone saw her alive. Brian Laundrie returned alone to his parents' home in Florida, driving the same van the couple had shared, but said nothing about Gabby. He remained silent as her family pleaded for answers and refused to cooperate with the police.
I mean, I even went as far as I'm going to call the cops. And usually when you hear, someone's going to call the cops, you would be like, let's see what's going on here. And no response.
As public outrage grew, Laundrie suddenly disappeared on September 13th and was never seen again. On September 19th, Gabby's body was discovered in the wilderness of Bridger Teton National Forest, Wyoming. The autopsy confirmed she had been struck in the head and neck with a blunt object, then strangled to death. A brutal and chilling end to her young life.
Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito. Full forensic identification has not been completed to confirm 100% that we found Gabby, but her family has been notified of this discovery.
For nearly a month, the entire country followed the manhunt for Brian Laundrie. Then, on October 20th, his remains were found in a wildlife reserve in Florida. Nearby, investigators discovered a notebook where Brian had written a confession in his own handwriting, admitting to killing Gabby.
He says that she injured herself from a fall in Wyoming and was in pain and suffering. Part of the notebook reads, quote, "I ended her life. I thought it was merciful. That is what she wanted. But I see now that the mistakes I made, I panicked, I was in shock." The notebook was underwater, apparently, for more than 5 weeks before it was found. It was released by the Laundrie family attorney.
He had ended his own life with a gunshot to the head. The case exploded across social media and mainstream news, as every moment of the couple's journey was rewatched and dissected, frame by frame, word by word. From the police body cam footage showing Gabby in tears, to 911 calls, eyewitness accounts, and the suspicious reactions of Brian's parents. All of it came together like puzzle pieces, revealing a chilling truth. Behind the sweet photos was the dark shadow of a toxic relationship no one saw coming. Gabrielle Petito, known to most as Gabby, was born on March 19, 1999, and grew up in the quiet town of Blue Point, New York. She was the eldest of a large blended family, with 6 younger half-siblings. Even at a young age, Gabby showed a kind heart and a strong sense of purpose. In 2013, she and her siblings took part in a music video aimed at raising awareness about gun violence, following the devastating tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School. In 2017, Gabby graduated from Bayport Blue Point High School. It was at that very school where she met Brian Christopher Laundrie, the young man who would later become her fiancé, and the one who would ultimately take her life. After graduating, Gabby spent some time living in Carolina Beach, North Carolina, working at a restaurant in the nearby city of Wilmington. She applied to Cape Fear Community College, but ultimately chose not to attend. Instead, she began to follow what truly made her heart beat faster: freedom, travel, and exploration. In March 2019, Gabby officially began dating Brian. Not long after, she moved in with him and his family in Northport, Florida. The two worked together at a Publix store. She was a pharmacy technician, while he worked in the grocery department. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, they both left their jobs. And it was around this time that Gabby's dream of living a van life on the road began to take shape more clearly than ever. At the end of 2019, the young couple set out on their first cross-country trip from New York to California, visiting dream destinations like Las Vegas, Yosemite National Park, and Pismo Beach. In March 2020, Gabby celebrated her 21st birthday in Nokomis, Florida. Just a few months later, in July, she and Brian got engaged, a milestone that seemed like the beginning of something beautiful. By December 2020, Gabby made a serious commitment to her travel dreams. She purchased a 2012 Ford Transit Connect and converted it into a mobile home. To save up for the trip, Gabby worked up to 50 hours a week at Taco Bell and as a nutritionist, while Brian took a job at an organic juice bar. Gabby documented her journey of living, loving, and exploring through social media platforms like YouTube and Instagram. In her bio, she wrote a simple yet poetic description: art, yoga, and veggies. That's my world. No one could have guessed that behind that world of sunshine, flowers, and smiles, a silent storm was slowly brewing. On June 17, 2021, Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie returned to Blue Point, her beloved hometown, to attend her brother's graduation. It was a warm family moment, just like any other. Just over 2 weeks later, on July 2nd, the couple officially set out on their cross-country journey in the Ford Transit Connect, the mobile home they had lovingly built together. For Gabby, it was the beginning of a dream. By the end of that month, they had already visited some of America's most breathtaking natural wonders. Monument Rocks, the ancient chalk formations rising from the Kansas prairie, Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve, or Golden Dunes stretch like a desert, Zion National Park with its towering red rock cliffs, Bryce Canyon, known for its otherworldly forest of stone spires, the enchanting Mystic Hot Springs, and Canyonlands, where deep canyons carve through the vast wilderness like nature's artwork. Each destination was shared by Gabby with excitement and a radiant smile. But behind those beautiful travel photos, something was quietly starting to crack. On August 12, 2021, under the scorching summer sun in Moab, Utah, a 911 call changed everything. A witness reported seeing a man slap his girlfriend in the middle of the street, right outside the Moonflower Community Co-op. According to the account, the couple ended up on the sidewalk. Chasing each other, the man continued to strike her, and then the two got into a van and drove away. That man was Brian Laundrie. That woman was Gabby Petito. Shortly after, Moab City police officers pulled over their Ford Transit Connect near the entrance to Arches National Park. Body cam footage captured Gabby Petito sitting in the passenger seat, sobbing uncontrollably.
You want to place your vehicle into park and go ahead and turn it off for me?
Yeah, sure.
No, park?
Oh, it isn't park yet.
Okay, turn off your engine. Go ahead and set your keys on the dash for me, all right? What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
I'm Brian.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday, and camping got the stuff, flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving, I'm sorry.
Can I get you to step out of the vehicle for me, man?
Yeah.
Just hang tight right there. Do you mind if I take your keys and just put them on your hood?
You got it, buddy. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. Oh, no, you're fine.
Through tears, she said,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, some days I have really bad OCD, and
Okay.
I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean because sometimes I have OCD and sometimes I just get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him. I just like, I guess my vibe is like, I hear him be like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I used to work at an organic juice bar, but I just quit my job.
Okay.
I was a nutritionist. That's
Oh,
that was
okay.
my
That's
job.
cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I
Okay.
have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed. And he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like a, I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know. We've just been fighting all morning. And he wouldn't let me in the car before.
I don't know. Maybe I have really bad OCD some days. I was just cleaning. I'm sorry if I was being annoying. I just quit my job to pursue my dream of starting a travel blog. I'm so stressed. And he doesn't really believe I can do any of it. Gabby tried to blame herself, but when the police pointed to the scratches on her arms and face, she quietly admitted the truth. He told me to shut up, then grabbed my face. Brian, meanwhile, claimed he was just trying to create space so they could calm down, but also admitted to shoving Gabby.
Thank you, though. But we just had a little disagreement there. And the disagreement was just that she was getting a little worked up, and I was saying, no, it's okay, thank you so much.
As long as it's cool, that's good.
So it was just more of a disagreement, and I just wanted to say...
What was the disagreement about?
It was, I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't change being dirty. Like, I got dirty feet, I got sand on my flip-flops and stuff like that.
Another witness later reported that Brian appeared to be trying to leave Gabby behind and had taken her phone with him. Gabby didn't want to be separated from Brian. She pleaded with the officers not to take him away. In the end, the incident was classified as a mental health crisis, not domestic violence, a conclusion that sparked public outrage in the aftermath.
I'm going to be charged with it. All right? But this is what I do have to do. I am separating the two of you tonight. Okay? I want you guys both to be tonight away from each other, relax, breathe, crying, because there's no reason to be crying now, okay?
That night, they were separated for the first time, and it would also be the last. Police decided to keep them apart overnight. Brian was taken to stay at the Bowen Motel, while Gabby remained alone in the van. It was the only night they slept apart during their ill-fated journey. But tragically, no one realized that this incident was a warning sign of the tragedy to come. Later, the Moab Police Department launched an internal investigation to determine whether the officers that day had followed proper procedures. The acting police chief took a leave of absence, but the initial decision, no arrest, no charges, remains a lasting stain on the case. On August 17, 2021, Brian Laundrie unexpectedly left Gabby, flying alone from Salt Lake City to Tampa, Florida. He left the young woman behind at a hotel near the airport, alone with her dream road trip still unfinished. According to his lawyer, the trip was simply to pick up some belongings and empty out a storage unit to save money. But many believe it was a suspicious pause amid the growing tension. Gabby stayed at the Fairfield Inn and Suites until August 24th. On August 25th, she made her final contact with her mother, saying that she and Brian were heading toward Grand Teton and Yellowstone. That same day, Gabby posted her last photo on Instagram, posing in front of a butterfly mural in Ogden, Utah. On August 27th, a witness saw them at the Mary Piglet's restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Brian was visibly angry, getting into a heated argument with the manager and restaurant staff. Gabby returned to the counter, eyes red and teary, apologizing on his behalf.
It was rude. It's just, and it was enough to make me feel uncomfortable. And I told Matt, my exact words were, he's creeping me out. The best way I could describe it is Gabby seemed like she was at her breaking point.
That same day, They were captured on surveillance footage at a Whole Foods store. At 2:30 p.m., they got into their van and drove off along Highway 89, heading toward the Spread Creek campsite in the Bridger-Teton National Forest. That was the last time Gabby Petito was ever seen alive. That afternoon, a strange message was sent from Gabby's phone to her mother. "Can you help, Stan? I keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Stan was Gabby's grandfather, but she had never called him by his first name. A sense of dread began to creep into her mother's heart. On the night of August 27th to 28th, several witnesses reported seeing the white van, their Ford Transit, abandoned near the campsite. A YouTuber later uploaded footage from a road trip, which accidentally captured the van, empty and parked near the spot where Gabby's body would eventually be found. On August 29th, Brian was picked up by two different couples who offered him a ride. He claimed he had been camping for a few days, yet his clothes were clean and he showed no signs of having been outdoors. When one of the couples mentioned they were headed to Jackson Hole, Brian panicked and urgently asked to get out of the car.
He approached us asking us for a ride because he needed to go to Jackson, which we were going to Jackson that night. So I said, hop in. He hopped in the back of my Jeep. We then, proceeded to make small talk. But before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200 to give him a ride, like 10 miles. So that was kind of weird. He then told us he's been camping for multiple days without his fiancé. He did say he had a fiancé, and that she was working on their social media page back at their van. Then once, in conversation, I brought up, we're going to Jackson. He freaked out. He's like, nope, I need to get out right now. Pull over. So we pulled over at the Jackson Dam.
Later that same day, Laundrie called his parents, his tone completely different after the call. He said briefly, "Gabby, she's gone. I think I need a lawyer." On August 30th, a final message was sent from Gabby's phone to her mother. No service in Yosemite. But her mother knew that didn't sound like her daughter. Then on September 1st, Brian returned alone, driving the van back to his parents' home in Florida. No Gabby, no explanation, no call to the police. A few days later, he went camping with his parents as if nothing had ever happened. On September 11th, after several agonizing days without any contact, Gabby Petito's mother officially reported her missing. By then, her heart already knew something terrible had happened. On September 15th, Brian Laundrie was officially named a person of interest in the case. But instead of cooperating, he and his family remained completely silent. They hired a lawyer and refused to speak to anyone. No explanation. Police had been keeping watch on the Laundrie family home in Northport. On September 13th, they saw Brian leave the house. 2 days later, the van returned. Officers believed the person who stepped out was Brian. In fact, on September 16th, Police Chief Todd Garrison confidently told the media, "We know exactly where Brian Laundrie is."
All I'm going to say is I know where Brian's at.
But the truth unraveled just 1 day later.
When the family reported him on Friday, that was certainly news to us that they had not seen him. We thought that we'd seen Brian initially come back into that home on that Wednesday.
On September 17th, Brian Laundrie's parents shocked authorities by reporting that they hadn't seen their son since September 13th. Only then did the police realize the truth. The person they thought was Brian returning on September 15th was actually his mother, wearing a baseball cap.
Was it just someone else that you saw?
I believe it was his mom who was wearing a baseball cap. They had returned from the park with that Mustang. So who does that, right? Like, if you think your son's missing since Tuesday, you're gonna bring his car back to the home. So it didn't make sense that anyone would do that if he wasn't there. So the individual getting out with a baseball cap we thought was Brian.
Immediately afterward, the police obtained a search warrant and seized several important pieces of evidence from the Laundrie home, including the Ford Transit Connect, an external hard drive, and the family's Ford Mustang. September 19th, a shocking discovery. At the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in Wyoming, police found the body of a woman whose physical characteristics matched Gabby Petito, not far from where the Ford Transit Connect had previously been spotted.
You have the Spread Creek dispersed camping area. Earlier today, human remains were discovered, consistent with the description of Gabby Petito. Full forensic identification has not been completed to confirm 100% that we found Gabby, but her family has been notified of this discovery. The cause of death has not been determined at this time. We appreciate your continued support and patience as we work through this process.
The autopsy results shook the entire nation. Gabby had been murdered with severe blunt force injuries to the head and neck, along with signs of manual strangulation. The killer had acted brutally, and her death was estimated to have occurred 3 to 4 weeks before the body was discovered. September 23rd, a surprising legal turning point. The U.S. District Court in Wyoming officially issued a federal arrest warrant for Brian Laundrie. October 5th, Brian's sister spoke out for the first time on national television. She made an emotional plea for her brother to turn himself in.
Cooperated every way that I can. I wish I had information or I would give more. This is all I have is I gave to the court.
2 days later, October 7th, Laundrie's father joined the search effort alongside police, scouring the T. Mabry Carlton Reserve in Sarasota, Florida, a place Brian had frequented, as well as the adjacent Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. October 20th, a shocking discovery. Brian Laundrie's remains were found at Myakkahatchee Creek Park, an area that had previously been submerged by floodwaters. Next to the body were a backpack, a notebook, and some of his personal belongings. The initial autopsy could not determine the cause of death. The body was severely decomposed, with only skeletal remains left. By November 23rd, after sending the remains to a forensic anthropology expert, the final truth was revealed. Brian Laundrie died by suicide from a gunshot wound to the head. On January 21, 2022, the FBI revealed a shocking detail. Inside the backpack found near Brian Laundrie's remains was a notebook in which he admitted to being the one who killed Gabby Petito. Laundrie wrote that he had deceived everyone by sending messages from Gabby's phone, making them think she was still alive, even though she was already gone. The FBI concluded that Brian was the sole person responsible for Gabby Petito's death. The investigation was officially closed. But 6 months later, in June 2022, the Laundrie family released the full contents of the notebook. In it, Brian wrote that Gabby had slipped into the water, was seriously injured, and begged him to end her life to stop the pain. "I ended her life. I thought it was merciful, what she wanted, but now I see all the terrible mistakes I've made." In the final lines, Laundrie wrote about his suicide. "I am not running from punishment. I'm ending my life because I can't spend another day without her." However, criminal experts did not believe his confession. Michael Alcazar, a former NYPD investigator, and current instructor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice, stated, "Laundrie was just trying to justify himself. He couldn't face the truth and wanted to rewrite the story as a man who died for love." In November 2022, Gabby Petito's family filed a civil lawsuit seeking $3 million in damages from Brian Laundrie's estate. Although the court approved the settlement, collecting the money remains uncertain, as Laundrie had virtually no significant assets. The Petito family also sued Laundrie's parents and attorney Steve Bertolino, accusing them of knowing that Gabby had been murdered, but staying silent, causing the family extreme emotional distress. The lawsuit was settled in February 2024, though the terms of the agreement were not disclosed. The family didn't stop there. They also filed a $50 million lawsuit against the Moab Police Department, claiming officers failed to act on clear warning signs of danger when interacting with Laundrie. However, in November 2024, the case was dismissed under Utah's governmental immunity laws, even though the judge acknowledged that police may have contributed to Gabby's tragic death. The Petito family is currently appealing to the Utah Supreme Court. Gabby Petito's story didn't just shock America, it also inspired several film adaptations. In October 2022, the Lifetime channel released the TV movie The Gabby Petito Story, directed by Thora Birch. Skylar Samuels portrayed Gabby, while Evan Hall played Brian Laundrie. By February 2025, Netflix launched a new documentary, American Murder, Gabby Petito, reigniting public conversations about violence in young relationships. Gabby Petito may be gone, but her story continues to resonate powerfully. It not only exposed critical gaps in how we protect victims of abuse, but also forced society to reflect on how often we overlook or ignore silent cries for help. Her family continues to fight for justice, determined to prevent future tragedies. For Gabby, and for all those whose voices went unheard,